Hello and welcome to this week's edition of the program Business Time. This is a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. And in the program today, we speak to Minister of Trade on the government's strides towards import substitution as Malawi remains a net importer, a thing that is continually affecting the economy. And also in the program, Escom continues to grapple with rising cases of faults. We look at how the utility body is addressing the problems and how it is affecting its operations. That's inside Business Time. Hello and welcome. This is Business Time and my name is William Kumwembe. In our main story in the program today, for quite some time Malawi has remained a net importer. Insatiable appetite for imports versus inability to produce enough for the export market have continued to affect the local economy. As we speak, the country imports goods worth $3 billion per year compared to $1 billion worth of goods it produces for export markets. Now, what is the government doing about addressing the problem or the mismatches? This is coming at a time when the country has failed to meet aspirations embedded in several documents, including the National Export Strategy. I caught up with Minister of Trade, Simplex Chichola Banda, to find out the strides the government is deploying towards addressing the vice.
I think we have come in at a time when the desire to have foreign products is amounting to that desire of appreciating our local products. It is a question about mindset change. We need to understand that it doesn't make any business and economic sense that in our shopping malls in this country we can have shelves full of products from other countries, the likes of tomato juices, toothpicks, poultry products that can be locally produced here and supplied. So I think our ministry's aim, one of them, is to sensitize the general public the importance of appreciating the local products. But I think time has come, and time is now, that we do what we call best by Malawians, because we are very much sure that the products that are locally available could also be chemical free and good for consumption, durable and of good quality.
But the narrative regarding import substitution by Malawi, diversifying the economy, has been there, both from the political podiums, even in as far as blueprints is concerned. We had the National Export Strategy, for example, which, I'll be fair, if I use the word, we failed as a country to make the most of the ideas that we incorporated in the National Export Strategy. We intended to double our exports by 2018-2019, but by that time the gap remained so wide. Where have we been missing the link as an economy?
I think we need also to look at capital investment if we are to promote local industrialization. How much have we injected in investing that we have the facilities that can produce in this country? So you would agree with me that the previous privatization, deprived us of many industries in this country. They become dysfunctional. If we have, there are just very few, and those very few do not even get into serious business. So it's a matter of looking at how best we can develop the local industries. I think that's the reason why I said one of my key priorities is one, promotion of local industrialization. In that aspect, we are now looking at how much resources are put into those industries so that we can reach a level where we can say this is an industry that can produce a good quality product and can competitively compete at global or regional market.
Last but not the least, looking into the next 5 years, where do you intend to see the local industry? And maybe if I may take it a step further to say, what would you, as a sitting Minister of Industry and Trade, would like to be remembered for, say, in the next 5 or so years?
Well, 5 years would be a bit more long. We need to set deliverables that are time framed, medium term, short term, or long term. So I would like to be remembered as one of the ministers who actually championed the change in the ministry by bringing in legislation that helped create conducive environment for trade and investment in this country. That is very key, because those are instruments that will live longer after us.
Now, powers continue to affect most sectors of the economy. In the country, if there is no blackout in the form of load shedding, you could see some areas having so many faults that has powered more pressure to the Electricity Supply Corporation of Malawi, Escom. But the question is, what is Escom doing considering the status quo? Because everyone is talking about the need to rewake the energy sector if Malawi is to draw its attention towards growing her economy. Our journalist, Llewellyn Impasa, caught up with one of the officials at the Escom when they toured one of the facilities in Blantyre where they're addressing some of the problems and has since filed this report.
Plagued by incessant outages, persistent system failures, inability to meet demand, and lack of capacity to fix faults, the Electricity Supply Corporation of Malawi, Escom, finds itself in a time spot as far as supplying power to its customers is concerned. Our assessment of reports of faults made by households in various parts of the country shows that some townships go for days without electricity after transmission apparatus gets damaged by strong winds and other harsh weather phenomena. But addressing journalists on Saturday, Escom Public Relations Manager Kide Chingota said the firm has since embarked on a countrywide faults clearing exercise. She said amid the challenges, the company is still committed to ensure that all customers have uninterrupted power supply. The electricity generation company, Egenco, the largest producer of power that goes into national grid, has in recent days been issuing statements on fixing some problems at its hydropower plants. The works resulted in considerable power being taken off the national grid. Overall, Egenco has a total installed generation capacity of 441.95 megawatts, with 390.55 megawatts from hydropower plants and 51.4 megawatts from standby diesel-powered plants. At least 70 megawatts comes from independent power producers.
Well, this is Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. My name is William Kumwembe. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. And my name is William Kumwembe. Moving on with the program, the Malawi Revenue Authority says it is yet to implement the tax stamp system, where the Revenue Collection Board would be putting stamps on goods imported from other countries to ensure that there is sanity on the local market and minimize chances of entry of goods through uncharted routes. This is according to John Biswick, who is MRA Director General. Our journalist, Justin Kweo, caught up with Biswick.
Indeed, you are correct to say that that hasn't been introduced, but it's because we are still going through the procurement process. At times, when we have to do right things, the procurement process can be very frustrating and laborious, but it's something that we think we are almost at the end of the process. And once we get a nod from the PPDA, we should be able to start the procurement of the services for the introduction of tax stamps. I think the one that affected us more was the tax stamps, the delays, because that has been for a year. Delays in MDAs, it's not really MDAs, it's systems at Accountant General's Department where funds have been collected, but what remains is for them to reconcile and pay to transfer to MRA. So that's where the delays are. And slightly in October, November, we were affected by the fuel shortage, and that also affected us quite a bit. But now that is history, and we seem to have recovered. Actually, over the past few months, we have noted as government has been importing more fuel to increase its strategic reserves. We have been seeing a good collection from that side. The tax to GDP ratio is the one I shared with you. I can't remember the figure, but we want to continue increasing the taxes, level of tax collection. I think in particular, the area which we seem not to have done well, and it's because the enabling legislation was there, was the collection of presumptive taxes. The whole essence of us introducing block management systems is because we want to reach out to certain sections of the economy which are capable of paying taxes, but right now we are not able to collect those taxes because of logistical challenges. But once we start implementing the presumptive tax, we should be able to reach out to all those that should be able to pay taxes, but now are not able to pay have not been paying their taxes as required. The 23 years, indeed, you have mentioned 23 years because MRA was launched on 15th February in the year 2000. That's when MRA was launched as an agency charged with the responsibility of collecting all tax revenues. Before that, as you are aware, there were two departments that were collecting tax revenues, a customs department and income tax department. Over the past 23 years, MRA has indeed evolved. Actually, the tax targets, revenue targets in the first year were about 15 billion. And this is an amount at times we collect in a few days now. Now we are talking about 1.4 trillion. So we have seen lots of changes in terms of staff complement. Now there are about 1,500 of us. We have introduced new systems, and we are also engaging the taxpayers more. We are no longer, I think there's been a time that taxpayers have complained that maybe we are too militant, but it's something that we are changing to make sure that we are a user-friendly organization that is able to respond to taxpayer needs. And that's why more and more of our efforts are being put towards automation and digitalization so that the interaction between members of staff and the taxpayer is minimized. Instead, we do this through automation. In each quarter, there is what we call a provisional tax payment. So we provide for that. But I can't remember what the quota for the last quarter was and this current quarter it will be. But it shouldn't be much difference. But in addition, don't forget that the targets were slightly revised by the Minister of Finance. But I can't remember what the difference is.
Now, moving on to other business news, Moody's says it has posted 63% increase in its profit. That is for the year ending December 31st, 2022. This was said during the annual general meeting the firm hosted at the weekend in Blantyre. The new president for Moody's is Matilda Mtampo and shares the process through which the firm has gone through to reach the mark of hitting 63% increase in profits.
The year 2022 has been so challenging and amazing at the same time. So challenging because, as you know, that globally we are going through financial challenges. But despite that, it has been amazing that Moody's Sacco, just in brief, has made a surplus of 184 million. That's an increase percentage of 63% from what we did in 2021. So this is a tremendous achievement. which means that as Mudisabo, we are really moving forward despite the challenges that we are going through. Surely, liquidity was one of the challenges because, as I've already mentioned, that we are going through financial crisis. But as a SACCO, through the board and also management and staff, we found ways and means of how to get out of this. For example, our base border, which is Moscow, we have a stake of getting some loan, and also we also engage other partners such as the National Bank. So through that, and also the commitment and other ways that Mudisabo has, we have really made it to this far. Yeah, that is one of our key areas in the new strategic development plan. Through that, there are a number of strategies that have been put in place. It's a 5-year strategic plan, which we want, by the end of the day, we want to grow our loan book to 19 billion. So that's not a mere plan. So it's like every year we have put in place strategies, and goodness, before this HM, we had to meet our coordinators, what we call pre-HMs, and we had a number of proposals of how we are going to move forward. And one of them, we have requested our members, who are the shareholders, to allow Mudisabo to use 40% of their dividend into their non-redeemable shares. So that is one way that is going to cushion the issue of liquidity in Mudisabo.
Now, moving on to other business news. Access to internet remains one of the key challenges in the country, and one of the cited reasons is because internet remains costly in the country. But MACRA is targeting the youth with some innovations to ensure that the next generation would be, in a special way, exposed to the required technologies and propel growth of the local economy. This comes as the country is part of the world and commemorating the World Internet Day. Our journalist Eric Msigidi has the whole story.
For Internet Day is an important day, and we are looking at the safety, online internet safety for our children and young adults. We know that we have a population which is the majority of the youth, and want to ensure that these young adults, they are interfacing with the internet safely.
What are the critical abuses that children are facing now?
As we have been experiencing internet development in the country, most of the issues are cyberbullying, sexual exploitation, and issues that misinformation that our young children and young adults get on the internet. It is important because as we know that every second a child gets online for the first time, and we want to ensure that the information or the interaction that they engage on the internet is safe, and we want to protect them as stakeholders, policy makers, that these children are getting the right information on the internet so that they are using the internet for the meaningful. As we know that over 60% of our population is the youth, we need to protect them, and we have to join the forces as stakeholders to ensure that they are well protected. There are so many issues, many instances that we're trying to do. For instance, awareness campaigns. The more we give them the information, the more we tell them about the good and the bad of the internet, that means they'll be aware. We cannot control them of what they do, because most of the time they're doing this on their own. But as policymakers, we need to put strategies, put initiatives such as awareness campaigns that they should know exactly what they're supposed to do when they're on the internet. This is why this year we are targeting them, the children, to be part of this. And as we have indicated, the number of programs that or the planned activities that we want to undertake is to bring the kids or the children in a forum that from this afternoon we'll bring students from Zingwango Secondary School, Primary School, the Phoenix, Nasit, to be part of the forum, and we'll go to Zomba as well as Mangoja, targeting from primary school children to tertiary students.
Well, that report also brings us to the end of today's edition of the program Business Time, a magazine program in which we bring you major business and economic news stories making headlines in the country. On behalf of the entire production team, my name is William Kumwembe. Always remember, if it doesn't make money, then it doesn't make sense. Stay safe and bye for now.